Hi everyone, and welcome to this tutorial and introduction video to the XF-11 fuel system. During this video, I will cycle through Microsoft Flight Simulator on the diagrams of the fuel systems of the plane, so you can have a better understanding at how everything works and how you can figure out how you can solve any issue if you face it someday with a fuel leak or something like this. There will be more video tutorials regarding engine failures, but for now, let's start with the basic understanding of this fuel system. Okay, and here is the diagram of the XF-11 fuel system. It can be a bit overwhelming at first glance, but you will see that in the end it's not that complicated. And first I want to show it like this, and then you will see it in game and how you can operate it exactly as you want. There are 7 fuel tanks aboard the XF-11. We have the tank left tail, tank left drop, if it is mounted, which both go to the tank left feed. You have exactly the same configuration to the right of the plane with the tank right tail, tank right drop, and tank right feed. And we have this center tank which can do several functions. That's for our 7 tanks. Then we also have 12 fuel valves. These are the little V's all around here. I won't go in detail for every fuel valves right now, we will see later, very soon. But you can see that they are regrouped under 5 areas. These are your fuel selectors. You have a fuel selector for your left engine, this is the left engine, a fuel selector for your right engine, a fuel selector for your left side, a fuel selector for your right side, and the last fuel selector for your center tank. In the end, you have all these 12 valves regrouped under 5 fuel selectors, which makes it a bit easier to operate. And with the tanks and valves, you also have 10 fuel pumps, which are regrouped under 3 groups. All the fuel pumps are with the letter P on this diagram, and they are all identified by this label, which is red for the left, green for the right, and blue for the center pumps. And these are 3 pump selectors. Before we see everything in game, let's take a look at what we will see also in game, which is the fuel valve piano, which is on the lower deck of your XF-11. And you can see here, and if I zoom out just a little bit, you can see here that you have your 12 fuel valves that are exactly the same as on this diagram. For your left engine, which is over there, we have the left engine with the left valve, center valve, right valve. And we have the same for the right engine. And below these feed tanks, we have the left tanks with the drop or tail valves, which are here on the diagram. You have the center tank with its 2 valves too. One goes to the left, one goes to the right. And you have the right tank's drop tail, which are these 2 valves. So ideally, you shouldn't have to play with these valves because right now, as you can see on the picture, on the screenshot, they are all open, so the fuel can go through, it's alright. And it will be like this unless you touch them. If you want to play with them, feel free to do it, but you shouldn't have to, because everything you do will be with the fuel selectors on your left console. And that's what we will see right now. And we are back in the game. These are the fuel valves we just talked about earlier, so you can play with them if you want to manually close or do anything, but I suggest you let them all open all the time. And we just go over here towards our fuel selectors and fuel pumps. As you can see, we have these 5 knobs, which represent our 5 fuel valves selector for the left engine, right engine, left feed, center tank, right feed. And they have all the options that we've seen on the diagram and that we will explore. And you have your 3 groups of fuel pumps, left, center, right. In the default configuration that you can find in the checklist or in the user manual, it is written that you should put all these switches and selectors in this configuration. So the left engine should drink fuel from the left side of the plane, right engine from the right side of the plane, your left feed tank, unless your drop tanks are mounted, but in this example they are not. So the left feed tank should get some fuel from the tail tank, from the left tail, right feed tank from the right tail tank, and the center tank, you don't use it. It's not supposed to be used in a regular situation unless all your tanks are empty, so why not? But the idea is to just keep this for any critical situation or any backup. So the center tank remain closed, and for the fuel pumps we will need all the left fuel pumps, all the right fuel pumps, but none of the center ones, which in the diagrams translate like this. The left engine, which is using fuel from the left side of the plane. We have our left feed tank, which is getting fuel from the tail tank. We don't have any use of the center tank. We have exactly the symmetrical configuration for the right engine. It's using the right side, and the feed is using the right tail. Good. And we are using the red pumps and the green pumps, so left and right. They will be required to get the fuel to the engine. The blue fuel pumps for the center pumps are not useful at all, so we don't use them. That's what we are going to do, and that's how we are going to start the engine. Alright, let's quickly start the engines. Mixture rich, propellers fine. Left tank for the left engine, right engine go to the right side, left feed tank goes to tail, right feed tank go to tail. This one stay closed, and we will see that as soon as I will turn the pumps on, you will see on this clipboard that the left tail tanks will start to transfer the fuel into the left feed and the right tail into the right feed tanks. So you will see these feed tanks getting filled pretty quickly. And you can also see it on the fuel gauges here. Let's move forward a little bit. So these are the fuel tanks that are super useful. You have the center tank at the right, the feed fuel tanks in the middle, and this should always be at the maximum because it's just a transition tank. And here you have the indicators for the tail tanks or the drop tanks. Since my drop tanks are not mounted, the drop tanks appear empty. But the tails is not empty. We have a little bit of fuel in there. So let's start the engines. Let's start the fuel pump, sorry. So let's start the fuel pump left, and you will see the left tail is getting its fuel reduced, and it's feeding the left feed tank. And we can see it also on the gauges over here, where the left needle for the tail tank is slowly decreasing, and it's quickly increasing for the feed tank, because the feed tank is quite smaller than the other one. That's why it's quicker here than there. Okay, let's do the same with the right tank. Turn on the fuel pumps, and I will see that it will do exactly the same. The right feed tank is getting filled, and the right tail is getting less full. So both needles of the right are catching the left needles on these two indicators. Before we go back to the diagram, let's start the engines, which is something I almost did earlier, but I didn't finish. So I prime, magnetos, start. Good start. I can use a little bit of cold flaps because we are going to stay here on the ground. And I do the same for the other one. Magnetos to both. Primer for a few seconds, and I start. And we also have a good start for the right engine. And now we see that our feed tanks are completely full. and they will remain full as the tank will flow from the tails to the feed to the engines. So it's actually the left tail and right tail that are just going to decrease, and the feed tanks, unless we have any issue or unless our tail tanks gets empty, the feed tanks should also always remain full. Now back to the diagram. So now what happens if we have a leak on one of our tail tank? Let's say the right tail tanks, for instance. I will create such a leak with the failures of the plane. You can also have it happening if you have random failures enabled. So what we will see when the fuel leak will happen is that the fuel will get drained from the tail tank, and we will have to find quickly a solution, a fix for our right engine to keep running. And that's the whole idea of this tutorial. It's to show you what you can do to fix your situation. So let's get back to the sim. Engines are started. Both tanks are alright. If I take a look, I will disable the random failure, otherwise that will trick me. Okay. The clipboard says everything is good, Captain, have a safe flight, so I have no issue anywhere. Let's create a fuel leak for the right tail tank. And it's a large leak, or we're quite unlucky. So if I go back on the fuel tab, we will see that the right tail will just go down way faster than the left tail. It also shows down here, where you will see that the right needle will drop faster than the left one. And we can also see it over here. I think it will be looking okay enough on YouTube. So you will see this bordeaux, this burgundy. Is that the name, burgundy? This red color of the F-gas, which is flowing from the fuel tank, leaking from the fuel tank. It's a bad situation. Right tank is almost empty. What do? We have to find a solution quickly. So now that we have this situation, for as long as we have fuel in the right feed tank, it's alright. The engine will still keep on running, but this fuel is not unlimited. So we have to find some other solution. Let's take a look at our options. One of the options would be to use instead the drop tank. With the fuel selector of the right side, we could select the drop tank. And if we have fuel in there, we should be able to use this one instead of the tail tank. But right now we don't have any drop tanks. So this is not an option for us right now. We need to find something else. So our first option could be to use the center tank to keep feeding the feed tank, the right feed tank, instead of the tail or the drop tank. So right now my right tail tank is completely empty, so it's not leaking anymore. That's good news. The failure is not fixed, but I can't lose more fuel, so where was I? There. So I'm using my right engine from the right feed tank. Okay, let's use the center tank as we said. So we want the center tank to go to the right feed tank, and as soon as I will turn the center pumps on, you will see the fuel flowing from the center tank to the right feed. Let's try it. Center on, and the center is getting emptied quite quickly. This pump is really more powerful because it's multi-purpose pump, so it filled the right feed tank very fast. And now my right engine is actually using the center tank, and the left engine is using the left tail tank. Let's see what other options you might have. Since we are currently using the center tank through the right feed tank, we might be interested to use directly the center tank only. So we won't use this feed tank anymore. It has fuel, so it's a waste not to use it, but let's say to try and keep balance between the left and the right, we want to preserve some kind of weight on the right side. And okay, so why not using only the center tank from where it is? We will set the right engine to use the center, and that's a switch we didn't use yet. So it will use directly the center one. And since we are no longer using the right tanks for anything, so all the green pumps are getting useless. We will be able to turn them off. So I use this center fuel for the right engine, and this I can turn it off, I can even close it, and the engine should keep on running, but it will run directly from the center tank this time, meaning that the right feed will remain completely 100% fuel. Nothing is draining fuel from there. What other options could we have? And now we are starting to see some options that I don't know why you would use them, but hey, why not? You can do it if you want. So let's say that we don't want to use the center tank directly. We want to use it through the left feed tank. Yeah, I know it's weird. So we will tell the right engine to use the left side, so it will take fuel from the left feed tank as well as the left engine. And to help getting this tank filled and to not lose what we have in the center tank, we will tell the center fuel to go and put everything in the left side as well. So we tell him right engine goes to the left side and the center tank to the left side too. So now everything is taking fuel from the left side, from the left tail, and the center tank, which is also putting its fuel in the left feed. Yeah, I don't know why you would do that, but you can, and the engines, both engines, are still running. We will decide to keep this right engine like this, so it's getting fuel from the left side, okay? But I will tell the left engine to get its fuel directly from the center. And I can close this selector because the center tank will not feed either left or right feed. It will feed nothing. It's just getting taken from the left engine. So what I can do here is I can tell this one to close, and I can put the left engine to the center. So the right engine goes, it's really visible. Left engine goes to the center, right engine goes to the left. The left feed tank is still taking fuel from the tail, and the center tank is actually not feeding either feed tank, but it's feeding directly the left engine. So I still need the left fuel pumps, center fuel pumps, and this is a very strange and odd configuration, but here it is, it's still working. And that concludes the demonstration of the fuel tanks, the fuel systems of the XF-11. I'm sure you can replay it 1 or 2 times if you need, and I'm sure you can find some other very strange configurations if you face any weird issue with fuel leaks. But here it is. I hope it's clearer for everybody, and thank you